Today is one of my favorite days because we're going over 15 different tips and tricks on the 2026 Honda CR-V, because I don't want you to own this thing for year only to go, damn, I didn't even know it could do that. So let's hop on in. Now the Honda CR-V is set up with smart key entry, and what that means is if I have this key in my pocket, I can walk up, just put my hand on the door handle, and it'll automatically unlock the door for me. But what it doesn't do is unlock your back door and your passenger doors, but you can set that up. Let me show you how. So to change the auto door open function, what you're gonna do is you're gonna scroll up here until you get to vehicle settings, right? Now, driver 2, because I happen to have driver 2 key, I'm gonna select that. Now, when you get into this, you wanna scroll down until you see keyless access setup. Once you're under keyless access setup, you want to go to door unlock mode. Under door unlock mode, you can switch this to all doors, and then whenever you touch the door, it'll unlock all of them. If you're anything like me, you constantly have bags with you. I've got cameras and my laptop and all kinds of stuff, and the last thing you want to do is get out of the car, walk into a store or into work or in your house and go, oh my God, I don't know if I locked the doors. And then you got to turn around and you got to walk all the way back trying to hit the alarm to make sure it goes off to make sure the doors are locked. Well, what if you could set it up to where when you get 10 feet from the car, the doors will automatically lock? So to set up the walkaway auto lock feature, we're going to jump back into vehicle settings. Now, when you get in vehicle settings, we want to go to door setup. So you're going to have to scroll down, I think 4 or 5 different times and go to door setup. Now, I want to say it's the third one down. You're going to see walkaway auto lock. The default is always for this feature to be off. You're going to want to select it and turn it on. Now, this next feature has been around for a long time, but a lot of people just don't know about it. Did you know that on the Keyfob, if you press the unlock button and then press it and hold it, it can actually roll your windows down and it can run your moonroof down if you want it to. Really cool feature. Now, what's changed in the last couple of years is you can turn this feature off. So if you're worried about, hey, what if I'm laying on my key on the couch watching TV and it actually does this in the middle of a storm? Well, you can turn it off. Let me show you how. So to turn off the auto roll down window feature from the remote, what you're gonna do is go into vehicle settings. When we get into vehicle settings, we wanna go to door setup again. Now, when you get under door setup, I wanna say it's like 4 or 5 down, you're gonna see it. Here we go, keyless remote power window control. You wanna select that and then turn that feature off. So have you ever been in the backseat of someone's car and they come to a complete stop and you want to get out and you start grabbing on the door handle and pulling and you're like, what is going on? And if it's dark, you have to feel around to try to manually unlock this? Well, the way Hondas are set up, until the driver opens their door, it then unlocks the remaining doors of the car. But you can change that. Check it out. So to change those door unlock modes, we're going to go into vehicle settings. Now, once again, we're going to go into door setup. Now, when we get into door setup, we're going to go down to auto door unlock. Now, the default setting is going to be for this to be on when the driver's side opens their door, it then unlocks it. But a lot of times you have that person who is getting their purse together and all those different belongings and they don't open the door for a while. You can change this to when the car shifted to park. You got it when the ignition is turned off, or you can completely turn the feature off. All right, so these next couple tips or tricks are related to the back end and specifically the gas cap. The first thing I'll remind you, do you know that the gas cap is connected to the door locks? So if the doors are unlocked, this will open. If the doors are locked, this will stay locked. Secondarily, I'll point out that you'll notice there's not a gas cap on there. There's a double valve system. There's a valve here and then further in there's another valve. So if you ever ran out of gas or on the side of the road and you didn't have a gas can, you may need a way to hold those valves open to pour gas in if you come around this back side. Now on the hybrid model, I'm gonna pop this chute open and then there's a little funnel here. Sometimes it'll be under there with the spare if it's a non-hybrid. You can put this guy in there. This will hold it open to where you could pour gas into the vehicle. Now, the second part is, what if this door gets stuck? Sometimes that happens, a little bit of ice, something gets stuck. Well, in that same area that we were just in, if you come in here, there's a little yellow wire that you can see back here that I can grab my finger. You can pull this guy and actually help pop that door open. So if you're shopping CR-Vs or you own a CR-V, cargo assist is usually pretty important to you, so let's talk about that for a second. Back here, there's a couple things I want to point out. One, if you need to adjust the height of this, you can get it to whatever height you want and then press and hold this button until you hear a double beep inside. And now it's set to this height. Now, the second part to this is, let's say this is closed. There are times when I want to be able to walk up and just let this guy open and it'll open up. But if I'm in like a parking structure and I don't want it to open all the way because it may hit something, know that you can do that. You can set this guy up to manually open when you want. When you walk up to it, what you're going to want to do is hold the button. And then you hear that second beep, now it unlocked and opened for me. and I can open it to whatever height I want to so that it doesn't hit the car behind me or the roof of the garage I'm in or whatever the case may be. So the Honda CR-V comes with a remote start. And if you're not familiar with the remote start, the way it works is you're gonna take the key out. It always has to be locked, right? So to make sure it's locked first, I'm gonna press this little round circle button and I'll hold it for a couple seconds. After that, you'll see this flash and then it'll kick the car on. Now, once it kicks the car on, you're then gonna have to walk to the door. And if you wanna use that smart key entry, it'll unlock for you. But the remainder of the car isn't on yet. You'd have to get inside of the car with the key fob with you, then put your foot on the brake and press that start button for the car to fully fire up to be able to drive off. Now, if you're just not gonna use the feature or this entire thing just makes you nervous because you're worried about somebody taking your car, no big deal, I get it. Understand that you can turn remote start completely off. So to turn remote start off, we're going to vehicle settings. When you get into vehicle settings, we want to do keyless access setup. So we're gonna hop in there and then we're gonna scroll, I wanna say about 4 down. And you're gonna get to remote start on off. From here, you can turn that feature off. So there are times when you may wanna be able to lock your keys in your car, right? Maybe you got a tow truck coming by, pick it up, or maybe you got a friend coming by, right? And normally you'd say, okay, well, if I put my keys in the car and I lock the doors, I should be good and then they can pick it up. Well, the answer's wrong. Smart key entry is set up to where it won't lock the keys in your car. It's a nice feature when you think about it. However, there are times when you may wanna lock your keys in the car. If you need to turn off the lockout prevention feature, let me show you how. So to turn off the lockout prevention, go into vehicle settings. When you get into vehicle settings, we're gonna go to door setup. So we're gonna come down here to door setup and then hop in. From there, I wanna say we wanna go about 4 or 5 down. So we're gonna get down to lockout prevention. From there, you would then turn this feature off. Now I'm back here in the second row, and this feature is really just gonna be for my base model owners, those LX models, right? Because the LX model doesn't offer the USB-Cs in the back. However, what I discovered a couple years ago is that there's a panel covering yours right here. If you pop that panel off, you can buy this part from your parts department. I want to say it's around $100. I'll throw it up on the screen if you want to check it out. The harness and everything is already back there. All you got to do is plug it in. So if you're a base model owner and you're thinking, man, it'd be nice to have some USB-Cs back there, I want to say it's plug and play, not very hard to add on. So the Honda CR-V has a lot of different safety settings on it, right? And what it does is it uses radar that's actually in the grill down here. And then up here, if you can see that little triangle right there, there's a camera that detects the lines on the road. Well, that camera can actually do more than just detect the lines on the road. It can detect speed signs and throw them in the dash for you. And you can get alerts if you're going 3 or 5 or 10 over, but you gotta set it up. So to set up traffic sign alerts, this one takes a couple steps, okay? So follow along here. We're gonna go into vehicle settings. Now, when we get into vehicle settings, we wanna go to a driver assist system setup. Now, the first one we're gonna wanna go to is down here. So let me find it for us. Traffic sign recognition display settings. You wanna make sure that's turned on. It should be on, but if not, check it. Now, after you turn that feature on, there's one right below it. This is the recognition system, right? So I wanna come in here and say, okay, I do want those warnings. So I'm gonna turn that feature on, right? Now, once you've turned that feature on, then you're gonna wanna come down again and select the threshold. So from here, now you can pick, do I want to get that alert when I'm going 3 over? Do I want to go on 5 over? Or maybe I'm a little bit more daring and I want that alert when I'm going 10 over. Okay, so there's a couple of buttons in the center stack that I want to talk about to make sure you understand them. So the first one is right here. First off, what is this? This is Honda's hill descent control stability, right? So this is really for people that are driving like downhills a lot, where you don't want to constantly ride the gas and the brake and burn up your brake. So what you do is you get to the speed that you want to hold it and you set it, and then it'll hold that speed. Now you can see it up here. Typically it's designed to hold between 2 and 12 miles an hour, right? And if you need to adjust it, just release it and then reset it, kind of like you would your cruise control. So here's a fun one that affects the entire display back here. So if you're scrolling through here and you go to gauge display, you can actually come down to gauge design. So if you don't like the typical round setups, you can flip this over to bar, and then you get a completely different look that you may prefer. Or maybe you're like, hey, I like the bar, but I want less. I don't want as much going on. You can set up a minimal version of it, right? So there's a couple different options you have as far as the display in your cluster back here. This next tip or trick is for my tech guys and girls, right? If you like a little bit more out of your car. So you can see that my display on the screen right now looks wildly different. And you're gonna notice that if I jump into the apps, I'm gonna have some app options that you probably don't have in your car. Things like, hey, why does he have YouTube and YouTube TV and YouTube Music and Prime Video? He's got Netflix, he can jump into that and be able to watch stuff. And I can watch this whether I'm sitting still or I'm driving. Right, so if you're taking a long road trip and you got somebody in the car with you, or your kids in the car and you're like, it'd be cool if I could just put something on and we could drive and I can listen and they can watch. Well, that's how this works. So let me explain what this is. So let me jump back out here and I'll explain. I'm using a box to do this. This is made by Carling Kit. This box is the CPC 200T box. I've reviewed a couple different boxes by these guys and this company and their sister company. They work great. They're really cool. What I like for them is just this. One, it gives me access to any app that I want. The way it works is this box plugs in like you would plug in for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and then you just have to give it data. You can either get a SIM card, or I just use my phone as a hotspot and allow it to connect to the data on my phone. From there, I can come in here, I could go to the Play Store, and I could download any app that I want. So that's the first one. If you want to download streaming apps, really cool. The other part that I really like about this is when I jump into apps like Spotify. Now you have access to Spotify on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But what I like is when I go into the search, I can type in a search, even when I'm driving. I don't have to use the voice command, which sometimes doesn't work that well. If you got the windows down or the music up, right, it kind of limits what you can do. The other part to that is when I jump into an artist. So we'll go to Soju here, for example. It gives me like the full version of the app. This is like if I pulled it up on my laptop or my phone, right? So I can see the songs that I've already liked, their popular songs, their discography, artist picks, like all of this additional info that when you're in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it typically limits, right? It kind of cuts things down and it simplifies them. That's cool, but I don't need that simplification. I can work through this. That's why I really like the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto boxes that Carly Kit makes. So if this is something you're interested in, it is an additional cost, right? So this isn't from Honda, but I'll throw a link down in the description of the video and something up on the screen so you can get a feel for what this looks like. I can give you a coupon, so if you want to save some money on this product or another one of their products, hey, take advantage. Let's talk about Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The first thing I want to show you is from the general display, you can set it up to where your GPS and your audio are flip-flopped, right? So understand you can change this order. All you've got to do is jump in here, and from here you're going to want to go into settings. Then I believe it's change display is what we're looking for. So I'm going to scroll down here to change layout. Now under the layout, let's say I want the navigation closer to me. When I do this, now when I switch back to the home screen, my navigation is on this side, and then my audio is on the other side. Now, the second thing that I want to show you is if you jump in here, you're going to notice on mine that I've got some custom actions set up here. Now, this is really cool. Like if I wanted to go to the nearest Starbucks, I can press this. It'll pull up Google Maps for me. I'm going to turn down the volume so you don't yell at us. And then it can pull it up and it can immediately send us to the nearest Starbucks. So I don't have to open up my maps, run the search, do all those things. You can set up these quick actions, right? So that's the first one that I have set up. Now, I could jump back in here and go, hey, actually, I want to add Taco Bell to that. You can clearly tell I live a healthy lifestyle. And I say, hey, I want to add this as a stop. Cool. Now I'm going to go to Taco Bell and then Starbucks. So really cool that you can set up these custom actions. This is probably the most common one that I see people use it for, but you could use this for a lot of different things. Now, the second action you can set up is if there's somebody you call regularly, you can set up to where you can just touch it and it'll immediately start calling them. So that way you're not trying to use voice command to call a person or go find them in your phone book or things like that. You can literally just click on this, it'll pull it up, start calling them for you, and you're good to go. Which, by the way, my phone number, my email, everything is always in this video. So if you have a question, comment, or concern, shoot me a call, shoot me a text. More than happy to answer if I can, or if not, I'll work on finding the answer for you. So if you want to create custom actions, how do you do that? What you're going to do is you're going to come down here and you're going to select customize. When you do that, your customization screen is going to pop up on your phone. Now I'm using a Google Pixel 10, so this is going to be Android based, but it works the same for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, guys. Just going to look a little different. So on here, first off, if you want to rearrange the order, all I would have to do is come in here and shift things around. So if I wanted my calendar up at the top, or maybe I wanted Starbucks second and Taco Bell first, or whatever the case may be, I could set that, unplug or turn the car off, turn it back on, and it'll set this up. Now the custom actions part, if I wanted to add like a contact, go to call contact, go find your contact, select them, and it'll drop them in there like this, and you just drag them to where you want. Now for the custom action, understand, I'm gonna go to assistant action. It doesn't have to be GPS. You can use this for a lot of different things. This is just one that's really common that I find people do it. So let's say I wanted directions to nearest library, and then I'm gonna label it library. Now from here, you can test the command before you add it, or you can just create the shortcut. Now, when you create the shortcut, it's typically gonna drop it down here at the very bottom. So at this point, I would need to scroll, grab that guy, and then drag it all the way up, right? So I'm gonna drag this guy up there to the very top. Now, once I've dragged it up there, for this to all take place, I need to either unplug or turn the car off and turn it back on. So let's do that real quick. All right, so I unplugged and replugged everything back in. I'm gonna go into here, and now you're gonna see my library actions here, calendar, Taco Bell, Starbucks. So the rearranging I did already took place. And if I go to the library and select it, turn my volume down, it's gonna pull up the nearest library to me, and I can start heading that way. Now, the last little bit that I want to point out related to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is, of course, you can come into settings and then view some of your settings. But if you scroll to the very bottom, see more settings on your phone. If you select that, it'll open up this screen right here. And there's all these different settings that you can go through and affect. One that I really like is show the first line of a message. I turn that off. I have a couple group texts with guys that play fantasy football and they say some wild stuff, and I don't want that popping up on the screen when my kids or my wife or my mom is in the car. So understand you can affect a lot of these things from here. So understand you've got some extra options that you can play with in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So these next tips or tricks are related to your backup camera. So I've got the car in reverse. The first thing I want to point out is, of course, you have 3 different views. If you didn't know that, let's talk about that for a second. This is a wide angle view, gives you about 170 degrees. You've got a classic backup view and then 1 inch straight down. So you can see your back bumper, and this is where your hatch will open to. And then if you're parallel parking, you want that car to be on the other side of the solid line. And you can see those all here. So understand, if you're backing up to your own garage, you want to make sure your garage door is somewhere outside of this dotted line if you're trying to get your belongings out because maybe it's raining, right? So that's the first part to know about this. The second is this button right here. This is cross traffic monitoring. If this isn't on, I highly suggest you turn it on. If a car is coming from the left or the right, it can give you an audible alert and an arrow to let you know someone's coming, and maybe you don't see them yet, right? Maybe you're in between 2 large SUVs and you just can't see that well. That's where cross-traffic monitoring can really help you out, because there's sensors off the back corners of your car. For my folks that have parking sensors in your car, you can press this button right here, and this allows you to jump over and show your parking sensors. So if one is going off, this can give you a visual indicator to which side something is on to let you know. Now, these next 2 features and functions I'm gonna talk about, you have to have your seatbelt on for them to work. So remember that. Okay, so the first one is related to your parking brake. If your parking brake is on, right? So I put my foot on the brake, I lifted it up, right? Now, a lot of times, if you ever got into a car and you go to take off and you shift it into drive and you're like, oh man, I'm not moving and the car is sitting there. Well, if you have your seatbelt on, you can shift this car into drive, you can touch the gas and it'll automatically release the parking brake for you. So really cool in that sense that you don't have to remember to release it for yourself. Now, related to the parking brake, you can also set it to where when you come to a complete stop and you turn the ignition off, it'll automatically set it for you. So if you live on a hill, this one's pretty cool. So to set this up, you gotta make sure the car is on, right? We're gonna make sure it's in park. From there, we're gonna pull up on the parking brake. We're gonna hold it for a couple seconds till we hear a few beeps. After that, you're then gonna wait a second and then pull it up again for a couple more beeps and then release it, right? So you're gonna do that process. Now, once you've done that process, so I'm gonna turn the parking brake off. Let's say I was driving, right? So now the car's in drive, I'll move forward a couple feet, right? So let's say I was pulling into my parking spot. I go ahead and park the car. I turn the car off, and then it automatically set my parking brake for me. Now, this last feature I want to talk to you about is called brake hold. And once again, you gotta have your seatbelt on for this feature to work, right? So what it is brake hold's right here. If I turn this button on, you're gonna see 2 things pop up here: brake hold and then hold. And now I've got my foot on the brake. It's now holding the brake for me. What that means is I can let my foot off the brake down below, and it's holding the brake while I'm in drive. So this way, if I'm stopping and stop-and-go traffic, I'm sitting here. Now, when I hit the gas, it's gonna release the hold button. We're gonna move forward until I hit the brake again. And then once it says hold, it's now holding the brake again for me so I can release my foot, and it's holding the brake while the car's in drive. This is a great feature if you're in like stop-and-go traffic a lot, or if maybe you're in like a drive-through line. But understand, you have to have your seatbelt on. If you take your seatbelt off, because let's say you were reaching out of a drive-through line, grab something, what it's gonna do is it's immediately gonna disengage this feature. But in doing so, it'll set the parking brake to where you don't roll into the car in front of you, and you could grab your belongings from maybe the ATM or maybe Taco Bell, if you will. So I don't know, what was that, 15, 16 different tips and tricks on the Honda CRV. So if you're thinking about buying one, or you already own one, hopefully these help. Do me a couple favors. Leave a comment if you feel like there's a tip or trick you'd like me to add, or if you know of one. That's actually how I found out about one of the parking brake ones. I hope that you'll like the video. Always helps me as far as pushing it up on that search. To share the video, man. If you got some friends that are shopping, hope you will share it. And then lastly, I hope you subscribe to the channel. So like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Later, guys!